Tell us your name and about your project.
So my name is Dean Graves, and I'm working with Sir Arthur Eddington, and our plan is to prove Einstein's theory of general relativity to be true with the help of a big solar eclipse coming up. We plan to take pictures of stars near the sun before and during a big 6-minute solar eclipse coming up on the island of Principe. At the time, Newton's laws are generally accepted to be true, but Eddington and Einstein were convinced otherwise.
What were you guys trying to do or find?
Mr. Eddington believes that Einstein in his experiment, and he thinks that he has a way to prove him right. If we can observe distant stars' position during a solar eclipse compared to the position after the solar eclipse and see that the positions are different, we can prove that light bends around large objects due to their gravity. And this would in fact prove that Einstein's general theory of relativity to be true.
Where did the project or experiment occur?
Well, we had 2 experimental groups set up in 2 different locations. Our first primary location was located on the tiny island of Principe, located in West Africa. The second experimental group was set up in Sobral, Brazil, just in case the location of Principe is cloudy. I will be helping Eddington take the photographs in Principe.
What other significant events were happening at that time around the world?
In 1919, many important events were taking place around the world. World War I had just ended, so the whole world was in a state of recovery. In January, the Versailles Peace Treaty was held to formally end World War I. Over 185,000 people died in America after a huge influenza outbreak after getting back from World War I. The Fascist Party was formed with Mussolini leading them to power. The Nazi Party was also rising in power in Germany, which would inevitably lead to the Second World War. Also, the 18th Amendment was implemented, which prohibited the sale and distribution of alcohol in the United States.
Who else was involved in the project?
Well, Sir Frank Watson Dyson was the man who came up with the idea to take the pictures of the edge of the sun during the total eclipse to prove that light bends around large objects due to gravity. But Eddington's help also came from his colleagues and fellow astronomers that actually helped on the islands of Principe and Brazil. You could also make an argument that Einstein helped Eddington's experiment, because without Einstein's general theory of relativity, Eddington would never have had a reason to conduct this experiment in the first place.
What was your role in this project?
My role was to be the photographer. I was responsible for taking pictures of the solar eclipse during totality. I was also in charge of setting up the telescope and the camera in the right position before the eclipse started. But we only had 6 minutes to make sure to get the best picture possible, because that's the amount of time that the solar eclipse lasted. So if we didn't get a good picture then we would have to wait a really long time, because solar eclipses are very rare. With my pictures of the sun during the eclipse, we'll be able to determine if the light coming from the stars behind the sun is being bent around the sun, just like Einstein's theory states.
What impact did your project have on the physics world?
This project was one of the most important discoveries in the physics world. With this experiment, we were able to prove Einstein's theory of relativity right, when most of the physics world doubted his theory. This really made Einstein a huge celebrity in the physics world, just because he took over Newton's laws that were believed to be true, but he proved them to be false. Both Einstein and Eddington went on to become internationally famous overnight because of this experiment.
Did Arthur Eddington go on to do anything else in his life?
He actually did. The one thing I know of was at one point of his life he had a dispute with a student at Cambridge who claimed to have proven the existence of black holes by using mathematics. solely mathematics. Eddington refused to believe that these purely mathematical equations could prove such a complex concept, but however, the student was inevitably right in that he did prove that black holes did exist.